What does it take to serve the British Army? How does a soldier rise to become a MBE honoree? Meet Ashok Chauhan, a Kenyan-born British Army warrant officer sharing his inspiring journey of resilience, leadership and honor. His early struggles and paths to joining British Army. His best advice to young recruits looking to join UK Army. And sporting career in the Army. The importance of diversity and inclusion in British Army. And British Army is not about just wars. It's about community service and disaster relief. So this podcast will unveil the true essence of service and discipline. Ashok Chauhan, whom you may have seen in many major events in and around London.
Namaste and welcome to Global Desi Podcast. To celebrate the incredible journey of the 30 million global Indians settled outside India, we're here to shine a light on the extraordinary stories of people from all walks of life.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Global Desi Podcast, GDP with PD. Today we have got a fascinating guest with us, Warrant Officer Mr. Ashok Kumar Chauhan MBE, who has a remarkable journey blending military services with deep commitment to community services. So welcome Ashok ji. Thank you for joining me. So your journey from Kenya to UK and then joining Army has been an incredible journey. Can you expand on this? When did you come from Kenya to UK and what motivated you to join the British Army? Can you tell us more about your life story?
Yeah, obviously I was born in Kenya, then I moved to England in the sort of late 70s, middle 70s. Didn't do very well at school because I wasn't really interested. I wanted to just play sport.
Right.
So, and one day as I was walking the high street, I saw these beautiful images. So I thought, that's me. And then in them days, Cassius Clay was my idol. So I joined the army for two things, sport and travel.
Okay.
Nothing else. And obviously, you know, I was a bit of a bad boy, no discipline. But, you know, one of the things that the army taught me is about discipline.
Right.
So that was my sort of the start of my army career.
So who were the ideals when you were growing up?
Well, obviously with sport, because I love boxing. So Cassius Clay, who changed his name. So I joined the army, you know, to be a sportsman. Nothing else. Everything else was like holiday. Because so I joined. And I managed to box I did 12 weeks training in Woolwich, where I managed to box. So I fulfilled one of my ambitions there. So that was quite good. And then from there, things just went up and up and up. So
how long you have been with Army now?
Oh, I've been in over 30 years.
Wow, that's incredible. 30 years in British Army. And so what is your current role in Army?
I'm a warrant officer. I'm part of community engagement. So my job is to go up and down the country to promote to the underrepresented groups, to tell them what the army has to offer as a career and change their perceptions about your army.
Okay, great. That's so being an army has given you a platform where you can express your sports, you can travel the world. So these two were your passion. So tell us more about what sports do you do when you joined army? Was it boxing and what else?
So I started off as boxing, and I boxed in Europe, and I also boxed obviously in UK. Then as you get older and you go up the ranks, then I started playing hockey, cricket, squash. From there with hockey, I've been all over the world.
Oh, wow.
So, been to basically you name it, I've done it. The only place I haven't been to is South America.
So this is all playing for our British Army,
for the Army.
So Army pays for your travel.
Yes,
and that's so amazing.
I was in South Africa, Malaysia, Barbados, New Zealand, India, America, South Africa. So, all over Europe. So
what's your position in hockey?
I started off in the front line, centre forward, and then as you progress, you just go back. As you get older, you go back and back and back.
So, what is the best performance in hockey?
I've been blessed because playing for the combined services, which is it's like playing as top for the Army, Navy, Air Force selection. So you have basically the regiment, which is where you work. Then you get selected for the artillery, which I'm in the gunners, and then from there you play for the Army. and from the army you get selected the combined services.
Okay.
So that is the ultimate goal.
What's the best performance on the field?
I presume winning, winning the cups in Germany, BAR. We have won nearly every trophy, and going in the position, midfield, and usually we just walk away trophies, and it was really, really good because they had a good bunch of people in the team.
So that also brought the team building spirit in you as well, playing sports and being in army. So as you said that you were a naughty young boy, and does army transform you to a more disciplined person in your life?
Oh, believe me, everything was done by mummy. And then when I joined the army, obviously I missed my parents.
Right.
But then you had to iron your own kit. You have to do your shoes. You got to do everything yourself. So it was a complete change, from everything done to you, and you had to do everything yourself. But saying that, I still, even today, I do all my kits. I even do my grandchildren's kit. I iron my wife's kit because I'm very, very rigid when it comes to uniformity. You got to look the part.
Yeah. So I know you from last probably 8-9 years, and I've always seen you in a uniform. It's like a skin on your body which you never get rid of, and you have. No matter what high-profile functions and events you get to attend. So can you tell us more about the other parts of army, apart from travel, sports, and what else do you like about being a part of the British Army?
The army is, I always, to sum it up in one word, I'd say it's a family. It's like the Indian family.
Okay.
We have our ups and downs, but at the end of the day, we all stick together. Now, the army, to me, there are various other professions available. I'm in the Royal Artillery because I joined the Royal Artillery because I was told that I did everything, and I do love the artillery.
Right.
But there are various, so we're going to go over 140 professions. You can be a doctor, lawyer, pharmacist, truck driver. There are so many job availabilities. Well, remember, your ultimate is you train for war, but not everybody goes to war.
Yeah.
So it's
that's
a
the
career.
Misconception I think many people have. So I think it's good to serve your country so you must be feeling proud about serving for UK as on the ground, but also there are other aspects of army which people are not aware. For example, as you said, that two of your passion, which is sports and travel, you got to do that, which is all paid by the army. So how has army changed when you have joined and now? So what changes have you seen in last 30 years? And I'm sure that you were one of the few during the time when you joined the army from the ethnic minority background or Indian origin or Hindu.
Yeah.
So how the army has changed over the year in last 30? Can you tell us more about this, and how has people's perspective have changed about army?
Okay, so when I joined, it was really tough. And, in them days, if you were told to sit, you sat. Otherwise, you'd be in trouble.
Very disciplined.
Very, very disciplined. Right. There was no sort of, being a Hindu, you're not supposed to eat beef. In them days, there was, when you went out in the field, there was stew, which was beef. But then, there was no catering for Hindus, Sikhs, Muslims. So you had to just survive. But as time progressed, the army, and I do believe, I know we are the best equal opportunity employer in the country.
Undoubtedly.
Because we cater for all faiths.
Right.
We have, if you look at, we have got an imam, we've got an imam. We've got a Pandit, we've got Gyani from the from the Sikh community and from the Jewish community, and obviously the Christian community. Now there is vegetarian food available. There's halal, there's kosher. So everybody's catered for. If you want to pray, there are places that you can go pray. So things have changed drastically from when I joined to now, and it's like being. Everything is there for you, and we are very, very good, and we have procedures. If anybody's being discriminated, there are 24. There's a support line, constant support line, which you can call 24 hours a day.
So in essence, we can say that the army has become more inclusive and more multicultural in a sense. Yeah?
Yes, it has. I mean, when I joined, there weren't that many ethnic minorities. But now, if you really want to know, the army currently is about 80,000 strong, and there are 1,358 Hindus serving the army.
It's a precise number.
And there are 135 Sikhs, 590 Muslims, and 980 Buddhists.
Amazing.
So,
Amazing. So definitely, it is one of the most equal opportunity employer, I must say.
it is a career. It is a career, and we treat people. We have a simple saying: treat people the way you want to be treated yourself. If you come in, as long as you do your job. And you perform, and remember, if you're different, you can bring so many things into the organization. One of the things I do is every sort of quarter, we have a personal officers development project that they come to Southall, where we start off in the mandir, then we go to the Gurdwara, and then we go to the mosque. So to educate our young sort of corporals who are going to be potential officers. So it's all about education. And remember, you've got to give to get. So
true. So, as an operational warrant officer, your role plays a pivotal role in, as you said, promoting diversity and inclusivity.
Yep.
And can you share some insight into what approach and initiatives the British Army is taking across the country? I remember being in touch with you like 10 years ago when you reached out that we should do a Raksha Bandhan event in Scotland, which never happened before. So we did a multiple Raksha Bandhan events, which is for our viewers and listeners who don't know, Raksha Bandhan is a Hindu festival. It's a festival where the sisters tie Rakhi to brother. It's a bond of protection. So we had so many Raksha Bandhan across different temples in Scotland. Thanks to you for bringing that civil engagement in Hindu community and Indian diaspora in Scotland, which has never happened. Because most of the Scottish Hindus are first generation, unlike here in England where there are third and fourth generation Hindus as there. So I would really like to thank you, Ashokji, for bringing in those festivals, beautiful festivals, which is still continuing in Scotland. So what other initiatives and which army is taking to bring diverse workforce into their fold?
Well, obviously, with all the festivals we have, like, for example, Navratri, when Navratri comes up, we're in the communities to participate, in the Garba and the Dandiya, and there is obviously, when there are religious festivals, we're always in there, in uniform, obviously, because that is our identity. Remember, and that's what we want to tell people, that this is who we are, and we are just like anybody else. It's a career. So we do, and for the other communities, we do the Vaisakhi, Nagar Kirtans, there's so many festivals, we celebrate Eid. So every festival that is, your army are out there to be seen. So we're out there promoting so people can understand. And don't forget, sometimes it's nice to bring non-Hindus, Sikhs, so they also understand. So that's what it makes. And that's why the army is like I said, like an Asian family. Because we all stick together. We have our ups and downs, but at the end of the day, we are one.
Right, okay. And tell us more about your physical activities on a daily basis. So how is your daily schedule like, for example, a normal day in army, and how do you balance your personal life? You've got grandchildren and family as well. So how do you balance the military life and so much of civil engagement? I see you in Parliament, I see you in any major event happening in UK. I see you in the uniform standing there looking very smart. So tell us, how do you balance? It must be very, very difficult for being out all the time and doing your duty. So what keeps you motivated, and how is your daily schedule? Just tell us more about it.
Okay, I mean, obviously I do a different job now.
Yeah.
But, my schedule is usually I work nearly 7 days a week.
Oh.
Most of the time. Right. Because to me, it's, I have a mission to make sure that, to get people from our communities to join the army. We want to be represented. So if you look at in a normal unit, and a normal unit usually get up at 6:30, 7:15. Then you have breakfast, and usually start work at about 8 to 8:30. And then so if and then you arrive, you get a parade. You do a parade first thing in the morning, a roll call. Then you might even be doing fitness. So you could be going to the gym at 8 o'clock. Right. So it could be fitness. Every every day there's some kind of fitness. We either do circuits, you go and do runs, and you can even go into the gym and play different sports.
Right.
Then you come into work. Then between 10 and 10:30 or 10:30 to 11:30 is coffee break.
Okay.
Then you go back to your work. So it depends what you do. So if you're a pharmacist, you go back into your dispensary. If you're a mechanic, you go back fixing the vehicles. If you're HR admin, you go back onto the office. And then what you have is 12:30 till 13:30, 13:45 is lunch. And then you come back to work, you carry on with your work, and usually about 15:00, 15:30 you have sports. And then you knock off, you go home at 16:30.
Right.
And that is a normal day. Now, if you're a regiment or you play a high level of sports, then every Wednesday it's sports afternoon.
Right.
So everybody does sports. So, and with the army encourages, because sports brings people together.
Definitely.
The difference, where you come from doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's being part of a team, and it's all being part of a team. So that is a normal routine. Now, the way sometimes I try to explain is, being in the army is like being in the school.
Okay.
Because when you're in school, you wear a uniform.
Yes.
So when you're in the army, we wear our uniform.
Right.
So at the weekend, if you're not working, you're in your civilian clothing, tracksuit, whatever. So usually it's, even though you're paid 24/7, 365 days a year,
Right.
free medical, free dental, 6 weeks paid holiday, all the other events all the other adventure training,
Amazing.
places that you go to. So
Amazing.
we do look after our people very well.
That's so great to hear. So can you tell someone who is looking to join a British Army? Can you share how can someone join a British Army? And there's so much of, as we discussed at the start of the podcast, is there's so much of misconception that everybody has to be in the war field. But for example, if we want the Hindu diaspora or the Indian diaspora to participate, most of them work in IT project management or human resource. So what are the opportunities? And for example, a person like me who's 40-year-old, what level of fitness do you require to be able to get into the army, and how difficult it is?
Fitness is an individual thing,
Right.
right? The army trains you at a standard that you're required. But if you want to, then you do the extra. So if you, for example, when I used to box, I used to do the extra training. Go 5, 6, 7, 8 mile runs, and then you train in the afternoon. So the fitness level, we bring you to a certain standard, but then it's up to you to carry on, right? So, and to be honest with you, in the army, we do, like I said before, we do sports, and there's some kind of fitness virtually either 3 times a week,
Right.
and then on the Wednesday, obviously, sports afternoon. So, and there are different types of entries. Now, there is soldier entry, right? And there is officer entry.
Right.
And there is the reserves.
Okay.
The Army Reserves. So, in your case, if you're working as a civilian in in the IT world, you could join the Army as a reservist, and you have to do a minimum of 27 days a year.
Okay, which is not bad.
Which is not bad, but then, and then you go through the training. So the opportunities now, if you're a young soldier coming in, there is 14 weeks basic training, and then you go and that's phase 1 training,
Right.
and then you go and do your phase 2 training. So if you're a chef or a mechanic, you go and do your phase 2. That could vary from 6 weeks to a year. And also, we're the largest apprentice employer in the country.
So, for apprentice, does the student need to be a British citizen? Or, for example, there's so many Indian students coming. If you know, from last 2 years, Indian students have beat China to become the highest number of students coming to UK and contributing over 20 billion pound. So, can a Commonwealth citizen join army?
They can, but they have to be in the country 5 years.
Right. Okay.
Right, so that is the criteria. You have to be in the country for 5 years.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean once they've got that, they can join the army, and it's a career.
Yes.
Remember, while you're in the army, you can also get learning credits, you can get degrees. So there are various opportunities available, because people's perception is if you join the army, you're going to die because you're going to go to war.
Right.
And I get that.
Yeah,
But, people say that to me.
Yeah.
But you got to look at the job. As Hindus, we believe destiny, fate.
Yeah.
If your number's up, you're going to die anyhow. So you don't have to be in the army to die. But what we try to tell people, it's a career. and you'll always have friends for life.
Yes.
Because the army gives you an opportunity also to further your education and make sure that when you leave, you have a good resettlement package so you can go into a civilian job.
Right. So how long do you have to serve in the army?
Minimum is 4 years.
Right, okay.
And maximum is 22 years. So if you joined at 18, you can retire at 40 and get another job.
That's really cool.
I'm giving an example,
I mean, just for our listeners and viewers, that it's not, and how difficult it is, like what level of, as we talked about, fitness is an individual thing, and for interview preparation, what comments you want to?
What happens is before you get, you'll always be told by the recruiter the standard.
Right.
You have to do a 1.5 mile run. Right, which is in under 10 minutes, 10.5 minutes, varies. And then there's sort of set-ups, press-ups, command tasks. So they tell you in advance what you're going to do. Once you come into training, they build you up slowly.
Yeah.
There's no way, you're just going to come in and do. They build you up slowly. It's like anything else, So they build you up slowly to the standard that you're required. And once you're in training, you do all that. I mean, give an example. If you want to be a driver, right, and you've got no qualifications, sorry, as in you don't drive.
I understand.
So what you do is you're 14 weeks trained, then you go away to Lexingfield to do your driving. So in 4 weeks, depending on how good you could end up with having every single driver license going.
Amazing. So, if one of our listener or viewer is wanted to join army, so how do they approach? Do they go to the website, or is there an office where they can go, or is there a camp? How do they apply for jobs in army?
To join the army, there's obviously www.armyjobs, or you can search army jobs. There are various jobs available. But me personally, it's best to go into the office. There are offices dotted around the country because once you go in there, at least you get to see the person face to face. And remember, you have to decide the job. Don't let anybody force you. I'm in the artillery. I would never tell you to join the artillery because I want you, because I love the artillery. I want you to join the organizers that you're going to love, because I don't want you saying, oh, well, you told me to join this and it's not very good. So you need to pick your job.
For a layman, it's we don't know. For example, I'm not from army background. I don't know what are the different divisions are there and what they do. So, do you run some kind of presentation where you talk about what are the different departments, what are career options? So, does the army do that in universities or anywhere else?
Yes, we have outreach teams that go into schools, into colleges to go and do presentations, and it's sometimes you can go and meet your army. So if you go along to careers fairs, schools, there are people there, and the best thing is to ask more questions. And always aim high. Because the opportunity is there. If you got C's and above English, maths and science, you can do any job in the army.
True.
And remember, it's a career, and I emphasize it's a career. You train. Ultimate goal is to train for war, because it's to defend and protect our country, and that's what you. But the careers are second to none.
And what value system and what other skills you bring once you have finished your army career? How does that help you in a corporate world or a civil job? So how does the army experience help you in other jobs?
What you have a resettlement package where you want to leave the army, you want to go and be a bricklayer or something. The army sends you on courses before you go out. And don't forget, because in the army you've got that discipline, and a lot of employers want to people who are disciplined and who are there on time, don't make excuses. So it's all available for you. I mean to me, if you ask me, in the time I've done all the operations. I've been to Afghanistan, Bosnia, Northern Ireland, Cyprus, the Gulf War, and the best time I've had in my life was when I was in Afghanistan for 1 year and 12 days. Looking after the community there, and and when you see children smile, you know what a good job you're doing. When I say good job, I know about
British Army.
The British Army, the good job they're doing, and when you see that, you can sleep well at night,
definitely.
and say, and when you see children smiling, bringing hope and faith for these young
That leads me
people.
to another question, Ashokji, which is about Army's role in supporting communities in the time of crisis. As you mentioned, you do that during the war zones like Afghanistan, but even in home country, when there is an earthquake, there is a flood, or there is any other pandemic, for example, Army comes up and help. So, can you share some of these things which were in the home within UK where you help in such crisis, and how was the experience here?
Yeah, well, if you look at it, the flooding,
Mm-hmm.
we're out there helping society, moving people across. Recently the COVID, we were helping with the NHS with injections, queuing, getting people in. So, and it's job satisfaction. So whenever we are asked,
Yeah.
and when we are required,
Right.
we go and help because it is in our nature. It is and to serve the people. It is your army, so we are here to serve you. So they everywhere there are any kind of issues, the armed forces, as much as the army, we're there to help out.
Yeah. So during your 30 years of career, you have received so many awards, accolades, including the NATO Meritorious Award and the MBE from the Her Majesty the Queen. So you must be proud about it. So tell us what are your some of the achievements which led you to so many awards and achievements?
Well, yeah, awards come from people. They recognize you because you are there to do your job. And
so how was the experience when you received the MBA from Her Majesty?
I'm a royalist. I love the royal family. I am blessed. I've met most of the royal family.
Amazing.
So all I wanted to do is go to Buckingham Palace.
Yes.
And when I was told that I got the MBA, it was such an honor, to receive the honor from Her Majesty, the late Queen. So that was a great experience, and just going to the palace with the family, receiving your award, and it's a sense of doing something pride. But don't forget, it's working as a team.
True.
If I get something, it's not just me. I always say we're part of a team. I've had so many awards, I've got so many accommodations, but I always put it down to teamwork. Because you're only as good as your team.
True.
So meeting the royal family, meeting ministers and various. But then remember, when you're in the uniform, you are there to promote and to sell the product. So you have to go and approach them. Not many people come to you, and you have to be proactive. And to make sure that they understand what the role of the army is and what careers are available.
Yeah, I remember when His Majesty, the King Charles, when he became the king, the first ceremony he had in Edinburgh in Holyrood Palace, where we met the king as well, which is a wonderful experience. I will cherish that moment in my life. And he was so down to earth, talking to you about. He talked to me about because I was born in Assam, where the tea comes from. So he was very interested in learning about tea. And so, how was your interaction with the royal family? Can you tell us more about?
Well, I've met now King Charles. I've met him on numerous occasions. So so I've met him at a polo match. I've met him at a careers fair. I've met him at the Gurdwara, at Wembley Stadium. So I've met him on various occasions. And once you meet these people, you find they're just like us. Obviously, they've got to and they're so down. And as you mentioned, when he talks to them, they always go out the way to talk to people. They do care. Right. And it's like everybody else. They do care about people. And I've sat down with him about 5 minutes just talking about careers.
Amazing.
So I am honestly, so they are very hardworking royals. But and that's the first time I've been to Holyrood Castle.
Right.
So just to get that invitation was a privilege.
I hope to see you soon again in Edinburgh or in Scotland, because we look forward to see, because the Raksha Bandhan event which you have started is now spread across Scotland, and we are hosting every year. So hopefully this year Raksha Bandhan will come to one of the.
I'm hoping we are. Well, we were talking, so we might end up being in.
You have to say that again, sorry.
Yeah, because the way I see it, I always say your loyalties should be the country you live in.
Right.
But Dil hai Hindustani.
Yeah.
Should never forget where your roots are.
Yeah.
And, and that's one of the things, even though I'm in the army, but I still. And the thing is, I respect all faiths.
Yeah.
We have a saying, treat people the way you want to be treated.
100%.
Respect for others. One of our core values, respect for others, loyalty, integrity, selfless commitment, the savor that we do. So, and when you do savor and you do look after people, you get rewards in here. It's always, remember, it's looking after others.
Yeah.
Because, and never ever take any, too serious. Enjoy life. Make the best of it and get to know people and find out about what different people do. Because knowledge is power.
100%. So, I have heard, because I am friends with the Navy and Air Force officers as well. Due to your connection, we have made a lot of connection with the armed forces. Different. So, is there a friendly banter between the different forces?
There is no banter. Our motto is quite simple: be the best or join the rest. So that's the army. Of course, no, there's banter. It's like rivalry. When you play, when you're playing football, whichever, Celtic, Rangers, Liverpool, Arsenal. But when you're playing for that country, when you're in the, because that's what what makes it fun. It's not fun because the naval think they're better than us, the Air Force think they're better than them, and so. But we have got a very simple motto. Our motto is be the best or join the rest.
Yeah, be the best. Yeah, that's a very good motto.
But we have right. But at the end of the day, remember we are one.
Yeah,
we're the armed forces.
Okay. So thank you so much, Ashok ji, for all your insightful discussion. I think 40 minutes or 30 minutes is not enough to know more about the work you have been doing for the community. So unfortunately, we have to stop the conversation here because of the shortage of time, and I know you've got another appointment as well. So coming to the concluding, there is a fun section of this podcast where we ask some random fun rapid fire question. You don't have to spend too much time thinking about it and just respond. Okay. Okay. So we are into the fun section, which is the rapid fire round.
Okay.
So you'll get less than 10 seconds to think about it and respond. Whatever comes to your mind. Okay. So if you are not in military, what career path would have you have taken?
I would have been cabin crew. See the world, travel the world.
Oh, so still be traveling the world, yeah?
Traveling the world.
Okay. So, most inspiring person you have met in your career?
I'd say my father.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. So, one of the biggest misconception people have about the armed forces or the military?
That all we do is go to war.
Okay.
So we're here to change the perception.
Okay.
It is a career, first class career.
And what's your favorite food? What's your favorite food which you can have any time?
My favorite is obviously keema matar.
Okay.
I love that. I do like that. But if it was vegetarian, chole bhature. And if it's Italian, pizza.
Okay, amazing. So you're a foodie? Do you consider yourself as a foodie?
I'm very selective what I eat.
Okay. So one piece of advice you want to give to your younger self. If you have to give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I'd still join the army.
Wow.
But I would pick a different job.
Right.
And always education, which I didn't do. Education is very important, and most important, respect for others.
Okay. And final question. So I know you've traveled all over the world. One place which you have not visited and you're really looking forward to visit that place. Is there any specific place where you want to go?
Brazil.
Oh.
I like to see the wonders of the world and visit the St. Christopher, and that's where I want to go.
Amazing.
And that's because I've seen most of the wonders of the world.
That's so good. Thank you so much, Ashok ji, for joining me for this podcast. And our podcast is called Global Desi Podcast. The objective is to promote the global Desis, whether you are a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, if you come from a Desi background, Asian background, we just want to promote and give chances. People like you are an inspiration for us because I'm sure 30 years ago there wasn't much Hindu or Asian people in army. Now, as you said, how many?
Hindus, 1,300. 357.
1,000 plus people in armed forces. It's because of your hard work. Many people have looked forward to you as an inspiration and join military. So I'm sure that people will get inspiration from this podcast and participate not just in IT job and safe job. If they're passionate about traveling, if you're passionate about sports, physical fitness, and keeping yourself fit. So
Almost. Yeah, it's a career.
Right.
Remember, it's friends for life.
Right.
And if you really want to make a difference, it's a stepping stone. The armed forces, the army, is a good stepping stone to learn all the discipline and all the management skills, and then walk into a fantastic job.
I look forward to have another round of discussion for next podcast. For till then, thank you so much. Namaste.